Thank you so much for being here today on the Broads podcast. I am so stoked you're here.
Thank you for having me. Also, I can't believe that it's been like our paths crossed many years ago.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to finally be on and chatting with you.
I'm going to be honest, Kaisa, you were like one of my biggest girl crushes on Instagram for years. And then I was on stage with you last December and I was like, is this real life? Like, it was so cool.
Oh, thank you. Well, first of all, we've just been in the game for a long time.
Long time.
I am very honored. It's so fun now that I feel like for many years I wasn't getting out. So like I wasn't meeting anybody. And I feel like the past handful of years, I've been meeting all of these people that I've followed forever.
Yeah,
So it's such a fun moment. Like we've all been on our grind, we've all been doing our thing, but it's fun to meet in person.
I know. Yeah. For me, this is my 13th year as a trainer. What about you?
I think mine is, I think 15th year. We were calculating it.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's crazy though. Like, did you ever expect to like be in this or be in any job for this long?
No, definitely not at
Yeah.
all. I think I expected to be like once I started training, I think I expected to be like, this is what I want to do for life. But the roller coaster ride of the amount of different things that this has entailed, like it's all encompassing around being a trainer and like coaching people how to move. But it's taken so many different turns and
Yeah.
I wear so many different outfits now. Well, in real life, but like
I was
metaphorically.
like, yeah, you do.
So I feel like this I never would have expected ever.
Yeah. What is your favorite role you've been in the past few years?
I mean, my favorite role is a niece, an aunt to my nieces and now nephew. So that hands down is my favorite role
Oh,
in life.
yeah.
But I think for me, I think being a coach is just my favorite role. I think in person, one of the things that I really miss is being able to like be in person with people daily. And when I get the opportunity to like be in person and coach events, I'm reminded how much I love that and why I was so passionate about being a trainer and kind of like getting the world moving. And I think that's a good reminder for me. So like being a coach above all else is the most important role for me.
You can totally tell when I see you in group classes how much you enjoy it and how much you love it. And I know you've been behind the camera for so long. And so, like, when you actually do coach a group, it's so fun to watch. Did you ever actually coach group classes like at a gym on a schedule?
So I did in the very beginning.
Okay.
And so essentially my career kind of started like I didn't want to be a trainer. That was never, ever the goal. So I'm going to backtrack a little bit. So
Yeah.
I was an athlete growing up. And so I always had this love of movement. But on the other hand, I never tied it with like a career or a job. I loved movement. I did track and field in college. And I really started to have this understanding and appreciation for what my body could do for me. Like that was a really important relationship
Mhm.
for me. On the other side, I wanted to be a social worker. Like I knew I wanted to work with people and I was trying to figure out what that would look like. So after I graduated college, I was trying to look at going back and getting a master's. And the two worlds exploded. They like collided, not on purpose. A friend asked me to coach a boot camp all summer long. I was like, nope, not doing it, not doing it. Finally, at the end of the summer, I was like, I'll teach this one class. Taught the class, fell in love, realized like my love of movement, my love of working with humans can actually like coexist and be a thing. And so that's how I fell into being a trainer. Once I started training, I was like, everybody deserves to understand movement, understand their body, and be empowered in like what their body could do. But I only had at that time, like social media wasn't really around. We only had access to, like the biggest loser and like ways in which I felt like movement wasn't really reflected in the positive light that I wanted it to be. Movement was really on the big stage, movement was punishment. And so in my mind, then I was like, I really want to bring movement to the masses, a really fun and educated way to move, but I don't know how to do this. So group classes was actually the first thing that I was like, oh, I can bring in a lot of people. I don't have to charge. We know like training is very expensive. It becomes very elitist and it's very exclusive. And I think everybody should have access to that. So group classes, long-winded answer, yes. That was my first love, is actually kind of like what I was doing the most and what I enjoy the most.
Yeah, I love that. So, how long were you actually teaching group classes?
So I was teaching group classes for probably 3 years. I was doing small group training. I called it smart training, and some group classes at the same time. And then once my career on social media kind of took off, I had to make a choice of coaching in person because I was running my own business at the time, or like really dedicating time, energy, and effort towards building my social. And it just came down to what my ultimate goal was. If my ultimate goal was to get people around the world moving, then I felt like I had to lean into social media because that was how I was going to have, quicker access to that. So then from there on, I was dabbling a little bit in group classes, but not that much,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
It's hard because I'm the same way. I love like teaching in person, but you can reach so many more people online, but it's just not the same. Just like this podcast would be so different if we were in person, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I feel you. And I think you don't know what you had until it was gone. And I think for
Yeah.
me, I spent so many years online coaching to a camera. And then during COVID, like we doubled down on that. And I think now, a handful of years later, like I'm coming out of it and I crave so much to be in community. Like I crave to go back to the days kind of where I originated from and to just go back and connect with people, like small classes. We're doing pop-ups now in Seattle and hopefully more cities. But yeah, I crave doing that. And I'm in a place now where I feel like that's what I want to lean into. Like I want to lean into like what feeds my soul now.
Yeah. I love that. I love that so much. By the way, I thought you played soccer. You ran
Did
track?
Well, so soccer is my main love. I played soccer. That was a sport I was dedicated to. And my senior year, it basically came down to, do you want to do D1 track or D2 soccer? And still, it's the most debatable decision I've ever made in my entire life. 'Cause I don't think I'd be here if I had picked soccer. I wouldn't be a trainer. I'd still be here. But so I ended up picking track. I went to the University of Washington. I did track. I did the heptathlon. And yeah, but soccer is my number one love. Like that's my sport.
Okay.
Yeah.
I ran track and I was a sprinter and loved it so much. Like it was so awesome, but soccer is
Yeah.
so much fun because it's like a team sport, you know?
That you nailed it. For me, it was so hard to leave. Like, I am a team person. I am like, I'm motivated by the team. I love the team. Like, I want to work with the team. And especially college track and field, it's very, very singular. It's very
Yeah.
isolating. It was definitely not the experience that I thought it was me. I was injured the whole time. So it was rough for me, but I learned a lot.
Yeah. When you left college, did you play any other sport? Like,
No. So, okay. Well, so I left, so I left college. I feel like I'm always chasing as an athlete. I'm always chasing my like glory days, this like athlete that I thought I was going to become. It's so funny though, to go backwards because when I was coming up, there wasn't like, women's national soccer league. None of those things existed. So I still don't know what I thought it was going to mean for me to be a professional soccer player because that wasn't a thing. Like Kaisa, professional soccer players don't exist back then. Like I could have gone to Europe and played, but I don't know what I was thinking. But I still, in my mind, when I graduated college, I still had this desire to be a very competitive athlete. And soccer didn't work, track didn't work. So I was like, what's next? And then CrossFit was right in front of me. It was when CrossFit was like blowing up. And I was like, I'm going to give my shot at this. But my body, she always has other plans for me. Like CrossFit was not my thing. I, again, just got injured. I couldn't handle the load of CrossFit, the intensity of it. I loved it, but yeah, it was not for me.
yeah, but you're competitive. So what have you competed in since then?
Business. I think that's where I translated it into
Yeah.
business. I think I found ways to kind of understand that the competitive side of me in sport, when I reflected back through a lot of therapy, I think it ended up being a lot more like I wanted recognition. And so I think like when I broke that down and I could start to give myself my own recognition and be proud in the things I was doing, the actual desire to like compete and win became a little bit less. But I would say that drive, if you're an athlete, you're always an athlete. So it comes out in everything. Like it came out in sports, it comes out in business, it comes out in relationships and dynamics. So I'm still very competitive and I have my eye on a few things this year. So, I'm going to dabble back into them. But I think when the transition happened, I just got super competitive in business. And I was like, I'm going to be the best that I possibly can and build the best company.
Well, now I'm really interested in what those other things you're talking
Oh, well,
about.
okay. Well, if I speak them out loud, this will probably be good. So I'm kind of training for two separate things right now. I am new to jiu-jitsu and I do no-gi jiu-jitsu and I really, really love it. I have performance anxiety though, so I'm not going to say that I have to do a competition yet, but I'm trying to train and gear up to thinking that would be fun. So that's kind of on my list. The other thing is high rocks.
I was like, I think that she's going to say this.
I just have been like, I've been on the outskirts just watching it. And
Yeah.
I just think it would be so much fun. And I think my body could handle it because it's not all of the aggressive kind of crazy lifting.
Yeah.
And I just like, I'm 39 this year. I'm about to be 40 next year. And I was like, I just want to be physically and mentally in the best place ever when I walk into my 40s. And I want to have something to train for. And I feel like I have so much potential. Yeah. So we'll see. I'll keep you
I
posted.
love that. Yeah. Hyrox is really big here in Austin too, and everyone talks about it all the time. And I've never done it, but I always said if someone wants to do doubles with me and that's very competitive, I'm down. So if
Yeah.
you don't want to do the whole thing solo, let me
Okay.
know.
Well, I love that. I need to like really start to look into this. Of course, I said I was going to do high rocks and then I like tweaked my hammy. So now everything's on rest. So I'm like, now I just have time to look into it, see what I do, see how I'd like, backtrack my training. And then you have to like really plan for when the event is because there's not a ton of them. So
Yeah.
I'll keep
And they
you
like sell out fast now too. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But jujitsu is really interesting because I've been wanting to get in it for a long time and I've been to a couple classes, but it is so intimidating to me. Like, I don't know. I mean, it shouldn't be because I'm such a mover and I have been my whole life, but I feel like I'm like, give me a women's only class. Like, I don't want to.
Okay, I so wish that you were in LA. So I am 1000% with you. My boyfriend, he's a black belt in jujitsu. He was teaching some of the classes that I was going to, and I was still intimidated. I'm very confident, in my body and what I can do, and I was so intimidated to go. And it took me like months and months and months to work myself up to just go consistently. So I hear you. That's a very real thing. I think female only jujitsu needs to happen. And we're going to put on a little course at the end of March. And, but it is such an empowering way to move. And I do no gi. I do not do gi. I basically just, have like my dry fit outfit on. So there's no grips or anything, but for me, it's been the hardest form of movement, but the most fun because it's like a puzzle. It's a really like mentally challenging sport.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it takes a lot of mobility. Like it's so fun. I
Yeah.
highly suggest people,
I
especially
know.
women, try it out.
I just have to find a good time because all of the classes are like 8 p.m. for fundamentals. I'm like, I'm sleeping by 9. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. I think over the next few years, we will see jujitsu like popping up everywhere. We kind of already are, but I think they'll understand like, there needs to be just more access to it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, I feel like we could just gab all day, but I have some good questions for you that I feel like people want to hear from you, especially because you've been in the industry for so long. What right now do you see as your biggest fitness pet peeve?
Well, it's never changed for me. It's always the same thing, which is like working out to change the way that you look.
Yeah.
Like forever, that will be my thing. I have the biggest issue with summarizing movement as changing the way that your body looks. Because, first of all, like our bodies are beautiful however they are, and we should take care of them. Therefore, we should move them. But correlating the two of them, it always means movement is punishment. And I think for me, the biggest issue that I have is that it creates an unsustainable journey for individuals to go on. Because if you get into movement, 99% of people that get into movement are trying to lose weight. And that's your number one goal. You will inevitably not reach that goal fast enough, not be happy when you reach that goal, won't be able to keep that goal, and you'll get out of movement. So I think for me, it's always been, it probably will always be that I don't approve of us using movement to change the way that we look.
How do you get someone into movement when that's all they really care about?
Yeah. Well, if you have the answer, it's been the hardest thing ever. The absolute hardest thing for me. When I first was a trainer, I had the hardest learning lesson because so many clients, again, 99% of the clients that would come in, I would sit down, you take the interview with them, and their top goals were like, okay, well, I want to lose weight. And I kid you not, I would pass them off to other trainers. I'd be like, okay, well, I'm not the trainer for you. So, toodaloo. And then I would look around and I had nobody. So at that moment, I realized like my job is to meet people where they're at. So when I started training in person, I would take people on. I wouldn't co-sign that that's what they wanted to do, but I wouldn't allow that to be the like cancel to I can't train you. You know what I mean? But now that I run a business and I don't talk about weight loss, It's very difficult. It's so difficult right now to run, especially an online company that focuses on at-home movement for general population when you're not promising them the carrot of weight loss. It is extremely difficult. And I'll be blunt about that. But I'm not going to sell it. Like for me, I'd rather be sticking true to who I am and working with a smaller demographic of people than doing something that I absolutely fundamentally don't agree with.
I think the hard thing is that people know that there's so much more to it, but they think they have to lose the weight to feel those things.
Yeah.
And I totally agree with you. Some people come in with me for like weight loss goals and I'm like, you might get that with working with me, but that's not exactly what we do. What do you think about the people that say like this is a great way to ease into movement to like get there and then potentially changing your intrinsic motivation to, oh, it makes me feel good.
Yeah, listen, I'm in a place of understanding that like I don't think I have it figured out. I think I'm missing something. I think that if my goal is to get the world to move, I think I need to do a better job of meeting people where they're at. I mean, I have conversations with my sisters and I run a fitness company. They have access to everything. And it is literally designed for them, yet it still doesn't exactly always resonate with them. And I think the miss is because they're still motivated by changing the way that they look. And that's okay. I have to start figuring out that I have to do a better job meeting people where they're at. And I have to realize that, like, that is totally okay. And if that's what gets you into the door, like, I'm okay with that. But my job once you're through the door is to have an extremely different experience with movement and with what your body can do, and just like be on this journey with you of being really like starting to develop that relationship for how she shows up for you every single day, aka your body.
Yeah, I love that. What about the women that are scared to lift or scared to get muscles because they're too afraid to get bulky?
This one is so hard for me because I'm like, first of all, it's so fucking cool to be strong. Like, oh my gosh, nothing feels better than feeling strong and capable in your body. That is the coolest, most empowering thing ever. Second of all, muscles don't happen overnight. Like if you are looking on the internet and you are looking at women that are lifting and you think that they're big and bulky, they have done so much work to get there. If you don't want to have big muscles, you don't need to, but you still need to lift and you still need to get strong because being strong is what's going to carry you throughout your life. It's injury prevention. It's going to allow you to do everything you want to do. It's going to allow you to, stay out of pain. Like you do need to be strong. And women, unfortunately, like, we lose a lot of muscle mass as we age, and you need that muscle mass.
So women come to me still and they just don't know. It's funny. We've been in this so long. I'm like, bulky is still a thing? Like, what are you talking about? But,
Yeah.
bulky is subjective, of course. It's all to the person who they think and what they think is bulky. But what tip could we give them right now that we could give them an analogy or something to make them realize that you're not going to be bulky or gain muscle super fast and it's more for strength?
I mean, oh my gosh, what's a great example? That's like, I don't even have a good example off the top of my head, but everything takes so much time. Like everything in life takes time. Sorry, the sirens are so loud. You're not going to be able to wake up in the morning, lift a few weights and, have biceps. It's not that. The humans that you are looking at and being worried about looking like have done that for years. Like I have lifted for years and years and years. I'm genetically a little like I'm a bigger human being, but I have lifted for years and years and years. It will not happen overnight. And if it gets to the point where you're thinking like, oh, okay, my muscles are popping too much, which 99% of people will not get to, once you start and you start seeing the muscles popping, you start seeing what you can physically do, like you're going to care less about being bulky or looking a certain way. Aesthetics will mean less to you, and you're going to be so proud and so empowered by what you're physically doing.
I think when I changed and a lot of my clients have changed going in the gym and wanting to move for aesthetics and more just like getting strong as fuck, their body composition changed so much more the
Yeah,
less they cared about it, which is so
yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I 100%. It's also because Like there's so much that goes into being able to change your physique. And a lot of it, most of it is consistency. And when you're going into the gym with a goal that's like really attainable, aka following a program to get strong or conditioned or mobile, and you're going to see results, and those results are going to keep you motivated. And when human bodies were made to move, so if you're consistently moving, you're going to feel so good. You'll notice when you slow down on your movement, you're like your entire body craves to get back in there, and that's what's going to keep you motivated. And consistency is key. Like in order for anything to change, in order for you to accomplish anything, whether in the gym or out of the gym, you have to be consistent with it.
So on the flip side of that, if there was a woman that did want to gain muscle, besides being consistent, what is one tool or resource that we can give them to actually start building muscle?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is nutrition. And I am not a nutritionist, I'm not a dietitian, so I don't dive into that. But I think one of the biggest things is making sure that you're locking in on your diet, because most women, probably, we don't tend to get enough protein. Like there's a lot that goes into being able to replenish your muscles so that they can grow. So I would say, along with like your lifting routine, just making sure that you're dialing in your diet. And this doesn't mean, I don't mean like dieting down. I think that's the problem. You're probably not taking in enough.
Yeah. And there are so many really great resources. Even on the podcast, I've had many of dietitians and nutritionists. Actually appreciate, I'm not a dietitian or nutritionist. I don't really talk about food very much, but people ask all the time because it's like, oh, it's all encompassing. But I'm like, this is what I do.
Yeah.
Stay in my lane, you know?
Yeah, it is crazy how people correlate the two. Like if you're a trainer, you must know about diet. And most trainers or a lot of trainers fall into that and start giving advice on nutrition. And I'm like, we do not have like most of us did not get credentials to talk about nutrition. So I appreciate that we kind of stay in our lane and then refer out. And there's many brilliant dietitians out there.
If there was a woman that came to you or wanted to work out, but was really scared, maybe they're like getting into it and they don't know what to do or where to go, and they're scared to like take up space in the gym. What advice could we give to that woman?
I mean, this is so many women, first and foremost, and probably so many human beings. So you're not alone. I think that it is scary to be a beginner at things. And for some weird reason, we're not okay with being beginners at movement. We're not okay. Like we're really judgmental on others. We're judgmental on ourselves when it comes to moving. And I think if someone was a beginner at, trying to sing, you'd be so proud of them for taking singing lessons and failing over and over again. But we just don't look at movement that way. So I really like to help encourage people to find their comfort zone. For a lot of people, that's at home. Get into movement, look in front of the mirror, like watch yourself move, get comfortable with it, get confident, take that routine, and then go to the gym. Even if you're in the corner, you gather your weights or no weight, you're doing body weight, and you're just in the gym, just get comfortable doing that. But I think what happens is walk into an uncomfortable place, feeling kind of uncomfortable about ourselves, and we don't know what to do. And then it's just a setup for disaster. And I think that's why you'll see so many people just walk over to machines, or they, get on the treadmill, or, and there's no knock to that. But I think if you set yourself up for success, like I want to go to the gym, I want to be able to take up space, then figure out and get comfortable and confident with what you're going to do when you're there.
Yeah, I love that. Doing that at home, starting with body weight, then move into some bands, dumbbells, then take up your space in the corner of the gym. And then the cool thing is you're already there.
Yeah.
So when you see like the results come and you do get stronger and you need heavier weights, it's there. And you've already spent the time to get there.
Yeah. And pay attention to which gym you're going to. Like there are certain gyms that kind of attract a certain type of human being, and those might not be your gyms. Like that's totally fine. Not all gyms are equal.
Yeah.
Go to a different gym. Go to one that makes you feel good and welcomed when you walk in.
Yeah. Okay, I want to lean into mobility next because I feel like that's a huge piece of what you do. And I love that because that's a huge piece of my programming as well. Let's talk about it. So, why is mobility so important to your fitness journey, especially in muscle building and, just getting stronger overall?
Yeah. Okay. So, quickly put, mobility is finding full ranges of motion in your joints. And I think a lot of people confuse mobility and yoga. We confuse mobility and flexibility. Yoga is a spiritual practice, and I'll just kind of leave it on its side. They are not the same thing. Flexibility and mobility. So flexibility is finding length within a muscle. Mobility is finding range of motion within a joint. So two very different things. not to geek out, but most of the time your muscles are reacting to what's happening at the joint. So if you're stretching your muscle over and over again, but you're not actually like you're stretching your hamstring over and over again, but you're not actually mobilizing your hip, your body will not know to keep that length. Like it can't even move in that range of motion. So even though you sat there and stretched it, it doesn't know what to do with it. It goes right back. So I think for me, when I was super injured in college, I went on this journey of trying to figure out my body. And one of the things I realized was like, I was not taking care of it all the way around. Like we were lifting, she was badass in the gym, but she was broken because I didn't recover and I didn't do anything else. Like I expected that I could have my foot on the accelerator 24/7, that I was going to get somewhere. So in my early 20s, I kind of started to uncover a lot of things. And one of the things I found was mobility. Like I figured out how to slow things down and spend a lot of time taking care of my body. And the rewards were insane. The way that your body performs for you when you recover it properly, when you take care of your joints, like I I feel like this is like clickbait now because I say this all the time, but it's like I'm performing way better than I was as D1 college athlete now at almost 40 years old. And that's simply because I take care of my body. I do mobility regularly. I recover, and I'm in a very thoughtful program now.
Yeah. So do you think, well, first of all, what are the main benefits of mobility and how are people actually utilizing this in their routine?
Well, I think most people aren't utilizing it. I think that's kind of the problem.
Yeah.
Um, like for example, most people still don't even warm up. So I think people just
Yeah.
jump into their workouts and expect like their body to be okay with that. The biggest benefit of mobility, I think, is injury prevention. That's like above all else, I would say if you are basically like you're kind of greasing your joints up daily, you're taking care of a lot of potential aches and pains that are coming down the road. And I think one of the things for everybody to understand is when you feel aches and pains, we think not to move. Like we're like, oh God, that hurts. Okay, I don't want to do anything. All that is stiffness and tightness getting more and more intense. Mobility is the thing to do to ease you back into movement and to keep your body healthy and happy. Also, your performance will go through the roof if you mobilize your body. Because think of it, for example, like you don't have a lot of range of motion in your hips. Well, your squat, your dead, like everything is going to be affected by that. The larger your range of motion after adding mobility in, the larger your range of motion for strength, the stronger you can get. So power, like there's so many things that mobility affects positively and negatively, whether you're doing it or not.
So I will just throw in here, I used to roll my ankle all the time, like mid to late
Mm.
20s, rolled my ankle all the time. And when I started doing, well, I started lifting barefoot, which was super helpful. And then ankle mobility drills, strengthening, stabilizing. Now I like just this past weekend, I like stepped off the curb and kind of rolled it. And I was like, no, I'm actually pretty good. I
Yeah.
feel strong. Like it was such a cool moment because I did it so often that I was like, oh, now I don't even have to worry about that at all anymore.
100% with you. 100% with you. And I think the thing for us is like, the other thing I like to say is you get a moment, like I use a 10-minute mobility routine before my workouts. You get a moment to check in with your body as well. Like you get like so many people would roll their ankle over and over again and not take that as a cue to like, maybe I need to do
Yeah.
something. Where it's like, oh, there's something wrong with that ankle. No, like there's something going on. We need to address it. It's not just going to go away. So I think also the cool thing that I love about mobility is it gives me an opportunity to connect with my body. So yeah, I have a plan when I go to my workout, but within that first 10 minutes, if she's not responding right or something's speaking to me, I got an ache and a pain, I will often just completely throw my plan out the window and just spend time mobilizing and doing some other rehab work and call it a day.
Do you feel like some people skip mobility because they want to do their intense workout instead?
Yes, but I think most people skip because they don't know what to do. And I think mobility has been put out very, like, in a very sterile way.
Mm.
I think it's very, like physical therapy oriented, which is why I'm trying to bring mobility to the masses. And you could argue that some of my movement is not mobility. Like I have mobility cardio and all these things, but I'm trying to make it fun and enticing because I think you do it a few times, you instantaneously will see, like, feel the results and you'll come back to it and you'll understand why it's so beneficial. But yeah, I think people just don't really understand it yet. Like, mark my words, the way that there are yoga studios everywhere, there will be mobility studios everywhere in the very near future.
That would be cool, actually. I love that. Or
Yeah.
even just like mobility more in fitness studios itself, like just having a class just for that.
Yeah.
Now, you said people don't warm up. So would you consider mobility warm up? And what is the difference between a dynamic warm up and just mobility training?
Yeah. So you can use mobility for a bunch of things. I will even argue that you can get a full workout with mobility. Like I have literally created mobility cardio, mobility core, mobility strength. Like you can use mobility for a bunch of other things. I basically prep my body with mobility. So I warm up all of my joints, get my stretches in, and then I go into more dynamic movements to get my heart rate up, to kind of like turn on my muscles, little mini strength moves, and then I head into my lifts. So it's kind of a process of how I prep my body before I head into the actual bulk of the workout.
Is there like a best time to do it before or after workout, when outside of workouts?
So when I'm talking to like general population people, I just say fit it in as your warm up. Like mobility is the perfect thing to do as your warm up. If you are someone who will take a recovery day, I highly suggest giving yourself just a day of mobility, like 30-minute mobility class. And then cool downs are great. Like there's no wrong time. The other thing with mobility is you can do the same moves over and over and over again. You can do them while you're at a desk in a meeting. Like you can do them over and over and over again, and you'll get more and more benefits from it.
And if you guys want, Kaisa has a bunch of mobility videos on her page. I also do as well. Like, so you can definitely go on YouTube and find a ton of stuff. But
Tons, yeah.
do you have a YouTube actually?
I do have a YouTube. I also have, like, if you go to my platform, justmove.com, there's
Okay.
tons of mobility on there. Yeah.
Amazing. So if you're interested, definitely check that out. So I want to get into confidence next because if I look at Kaisa Fit, I'm like, she is a confident, strong, empowered woman.
Thank
Was
you.
that always the case?
No, hell no. It's also not the case all the time. Like,
Yeah.
again, that's a roller coaster ride. I think for me, I grew up, so I'm 39. When I was growing up, especially in middle school, social media did not exist. I did not grow up with a TV. There weren't really like magazines. I never looked around and saw other young girls that looked like me. Like I was a pretty big, strong girl. At recess, I would be playing with the guys. And I think in middle school, when you start to have this moment of comparing yourself to others, I was like, holy shit, I don't look like any of them. Like, I look like the boys, and I had this whole complex of being like, I am, a young feminine girl, but I look like the boys. I have a problem with what I look like. But I always had sport and movement to remind me that the reason I was beating the boys, the reason I was like really good at all the things that I was doing was because my body looked like this. So in middle school, I was having the hard conversations without knowing what I was exactly saying to myself. I was like, you're more than your body. Like, she's badass. She's so cool at what she can do. So being mad at her for what she looks like doesn't really make sense right now. That has been a roller coaster ride my entire life. I have my quote, which is, I am more than my body, because I always have to remind myself. Like, I get defined by my body a lot based on what it looks like. I grew up and strong is beautiful was not a thing. We didn't see CrossFit girls. We didn't see like female athletes as much as we see them now. So that was a really hard thing for me to kind of be okay with. And now that's the end thing, but I'm grateful that I spent a lot of time really developing a relationship with being grateful and proud for what my body did for me, rather than kind of defining myself and my confidence on what she looked like.
How did
But
you
that's it.
know?
Sorry.
How did you go?
I was going to say, but that's a daily struggle. That's not like, oh, and I'm done. It's all good.
How did you know in middle school and high school to like talk to yourself like that? I feel like it's
Oh,
so easy to just go down this like deep rabbit hole of just
I was.
talking shit about yourself.
Oh, I was down. I mean, I've talked about this many times, and just warning, there were definitely deep, dark thoughts. But I mean, there were times in high school I didn't want to live. Like I was like, I'm done. I don't want to be here. And didn't know at the time that like I deal with mental health, I deal with depression, and I had no name for that. And so I just kind of like instinctively knew to lean into. I specifically remember a conversation I had with myself my freshman year in high school. And I was walking down to the field, which was like a few blocks away from my house, with my soccer ball. And I remember having the conversation with myself and being like, if I left this earth, like and I have three other siblings. Like my mom would be devastated. She wouldn't be able to be there for them. This is not okay. But the only tool I had for myself was thinking about like, so what makes me happy? What is something that I can look forward to every single day to get me through the worst parts of my day? And at that time, it was soccer. So it was like movement. So every single day, you'd see me down at the soccer field. If we didn't have practice, I was still there before practice, after practice, literally practicing 24/7. And in the outside world, everybody's like, oh my God, she's so dedicated to soccer. And inside, I was like, this is literally the only thing that's keeping me alive. Like, if I didn't have this, I wouldn't be here. So I think for me, it wasn't like I knew that. I didn't have these words. I just knew that I loved what I felt like when I was moving. Nothing else mattered to me. I was so proud in middle school of beating the boys and being, like so athletic. And I was so proud in high school to be able to figure out how to keep myself healthy and on this earth. And yeah, it's still a journey though. Like, I don't know how I'm so grateful that I had movement because I definitely wouldn't be here. And I just knew to lean into the thing that made me happy. I think that's it.
Such an inspiring story. I think I've heard you talk about it before. It's hard, like, and this was at a time where we didn't really have social media and so many comparison and, other things to deal with, which is probably so hard for, I'm sure you hear with your nieces growing up, right? But to be able to say, like, I am more than my body, but you're still showing up and moving your body because you know that makes you feel so good is so powerful. It's such a
Yeah.
huge mental thing.
But honestly, I literally think that if more people had that relationship, like what I mean when I say I'm more than my body is like you don't define who I am as a human by what I look like.
Right.
But my body is my best friend. Like she's my ride or die. She's my bestie. Without her, I'm not here.
Mhm.
So it has allowed me to have a relationship that because I can look at her as kind of separate than me, I treat her with so much love and respect most of the time. Like I am so grateful for her. I'm so reminded by like how lucky I am to have her and be so proud of all the things that we can do. It's not just physically, but it's like, she can go out and do anything I want. I get to travel because I have like all these things that we're so lucky to have these able bodies. So I think that it's a really healthy dynamic for a lot of people. If you're struggling with your relationship that you have with your body, start looking at it through a different lens.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. My body's my best friend. That's really
Yeah.
sweet. I also love that you call it your body her.
Yeah. Yeah,
She
that's
is
what
that
I
girl.
mean. Yeah, she's that bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's so because listen, the things that we say to our body, we would never say to our best friend. And there's no one closer to you than your body. You know what I mean? So it's like if you can look in the mirror and say those things and then quickly remind yourself, like, holy shit, wait, I am so lucky that like I woke up today and I'm like in this body and I feel good. I'm gonna go and have a great day. Like it shifts everything. Because the one thing, especially women, we are told from the moment we're born that our worth in life is defined by what we look like. So it is our job to like rip that off of us and then reinforce our own belief about who we are. So, for example, for me, I have very big arms. Like I have big, strong, muscular arms. They've always been an issue for me, like aesthetically being like, oh God, like I look like the guys always. And still to this day, at 39 years old, I will catch myself occasionally looking in the mirror and being like, oh, goddamn. But it's how fast I can switch that thought. So now it's, oh, damn. And then I'm like, hold on. We literally just did 10 pull-ups and we can do like 20 push-ups. So for me, it's like how fast I can switch that. So don't think it's ever going to go away because I'm pretty confident in my body, but I still have that. It's just how fast can you switch the way that you talk to yourself?
That's such a great way to put it because people think that they can just go from like, I hate my body to I love my body. And that's not the case. Like
No.
you've been in this for how long and you're still having that thought. But the cool thing about you being able to switch it is amazing.
Yeah, and like we need in the health industry, like we need to give people tools. Like we sell the most unrealistic messages. Like just look in the mirror and say, like, I love you 10 times and everything will be fine. No, it's fucking not. No, it's not. Like that's not how it works. And I think for us, like movement is a tool. How you speak to yourself is a tool. Like there are so many things that can be your tools that you put in your pocket. For another woman listening to this, like if you take 1 second to just shut your eyes and think about what you do in your daily life, that brings you some joy, lean into that more. It's literally that simple. Lean into that more. Is it a human being that you're around that brings you more joy? Is it knitting on the couch? I don't know. What brings you more joy? Because that's how you connect with yourself. And that's how you go back and find your safe space. That's how you develop your confidence. Like, just lean into that.
How long did it take you to get to that very quick switch thought?
A long time.
Yeah.
A long time. Let's be real. I mean, I've been on a wild journey because, like, let's go through this really quickly. I was very muscular compared to the boys. Then in college, thick all of a sudden was in. So then it was like, then I was like, my body was glorified, but I had the worst relationship with myself because I felt like the only reason people wanted to, this is going to sound so superficial, but this is very real. The only reason people wanted to hang out with me was because like I looked a certain way. Then I felt like an idiot. And I was like, I don't even like, nobody knows me for me. This is terrible. Then I had this disdain. Then I hated my body for a little while. Then I came back and I was athletic, but then she was failing me. She kept getting injured. Then I wanted to be a trainer and I ended up doing well and going on social media. Then everybody looks at your body and everybody critiques your body and everybody breaks down your body, good, bad, all the things. So I've been on this constant, like the universe has tested me from the fucking jump with my relationship with my body from every angle possible. So I think there's never been a moment that it's been like, oh, for years I've been like this. No, it's constantly changing and my body's constantly changing. Like she's very, over the past 2 years, she's changed so much. I'm almost 40. There's a lot of different things happening now. Like, and I think for me, it's just always going back and remembering what tools I have to help me feel really comfortable and empowered in who I am. And a lot of that's movement, but sometimes it's just, for me, it's business also. Like I'm really proud of what I've created. That makes me feel confident.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Mindset's obviously a huge piece of it. What you say between your ears is like what you believe is true. But I always say, like, you are not your thoughts. Those thoughts can change and you have the power to change them.
Yeah.
So I love that little close your eyes, find what brings you joy and do more of that. Any other like little things that people could potentially add in mindset wise?
Gosh, this is a hard one. Well, I do a corny one. It's so funny because it bothers people around me. But I have had really deep, dark days. So when I just have a moment of being like, "Ah, I'm so happy to be here." Like, like I take those small, small moments and I literally say it out loud. I'm like, I'm so grateful to be here. Like it's so nice right now. I can breathe. It's sunny outside. Like I take those moments because as corny as it sounds, those add up and I am reinforcing to myself almost daily. Sometimes it doesn't happen daily. Sometimes it's hard times, but I'm reinforcing to myself that life is good. I'm grateful to be here. I can do hard things, but like I'm here. And I'm really thankful for that. And I think like speaking out loud is an important thing. Like say it. Because you know what we do say a lot? Oh, fuck, I'm stressed. Oh my God, this is so hard. Like we say that a lot. So like say the other.
Yes. Yes. So do you do that when it's feeling stressful and hard, or do you do that when life is really good?
No, when it's stressful and hard, I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah. I was like,
but I do the same when it's good because when it's good, for some reason, we always kind of coast. Like we don't recognize when things are good. Like even when you have a good day, even when you have a good breakfast or a good call or like whatever, a good workout, I just am saying, like, I'm like, it feels so good to be out today. Or like, I'm just like really happy right now. Like life is good right now. And that was like within an hour period of like running to the supermarket. I don't know. I say it all the time to the point that it annoys people around me, but I don't care. I'm literally just saying it to myself. I'm just reminding myself that like life is good. Life is hard. It is hard. There's a lot going on in this world right now. So I think just reinforcing that, the moments that are good are good.
I am happy that you're here. I am grateful that I get this hour with you.
Thank you.
Of course. Social media. Let's talk about social media. This is not a great one to end on, but social media is great. You obviously have a massive following. We've been in this for a really long time. Like you said, people pick apart your body, and if something goes viral, woo, those people come out.
Yeah.
How do you protect your peace on specifically social media?
Well, I don't know that I necessarily protect my peace. I think that what I have done on social media from day one is shown up as authentically myself. And I think if you were there from day one, you've seen the evolution of myself. But I think it's hard to nitpick someone who's just like 100% showing up. And I think for me, like I'm really clear about what I'm doing on social media, why I'm there, what I believe in. And I think I've always represented myself in that way. So I think if you're going to nitpick me, I'm pretty confident in the way that I'm showing up. So it doesn't really bother me. I don't have a lot of haters, which I'm very grateful for. But I curate my content in a way that I don't invite a lot of that. I think there's this thing about social media where like, oh, so many people can, come and say this and that. I'm like, I don't really put myself out there for you to say that. Like, I'm not overly sexual on social media, so I don't allow you to come in and like make all these remarks about my body. Sometimes I am political, which opens a can of worms, and that I do get a lot of people coming at me for, but those are things I would never change. Like I'm going to make a stance. I'm not just the number one thing we get is just like stick with what you are, stick with being a coach. And I'm like, I'm a fucking human being. Like I'm not a coach. That's one thing that I am, but like I'm a human being. I care about things. Like things really are important to me and I'm going to talk about them when I want to.
Yeah. I actually really also love that you talk about sex a lot.
Oh
And you have a
yeah.
whole mobility for sex. Because anytime I talk about that, I feel like I get like people that are weird or, how they can be sometimes. And sex, I feel like, is a part of your health and wellness journey. I think every woman, sexual wellness is a huge piece of it. So do you get any of that?
Not really. It's interesting that you say that because no, I don't. And I don't know if I have my boyfriend on there enough that people just like really respect that side of it. I don't know. I You're saying that now, and I'm like, no, surprisingly, no. I don't get a lot about that. But that was a really I was a little worried to put that out there, just in the sense of being like, am I going a little too far? Because in my life, I'm a pretty kind of straightforward, loud, talk about everything type of human. And I am like that on social media, but not 100%. And so I think this is something that I was like, I really want to lean into. Like, I've been on my own, sex journey, and that's a whole nother topic. But to be in a space to really feel empowered, you know, during sex is a very, very important thing that women deserve. And we don't talk about that enough. And I was like, I want to fucking talk about it. Like, this is a life-changing thing to feel empowered in your body when you're having sex, because historically, sex is for men. Like
Yeah.
literally, we're just here. Sex is for men. And that's how when I was growing up, that's how a lot of it was. And I was like, hell no. When this all turned around for me, I was like, everybody needs to feel this way.
Yes. Gosh, man, too many years I spent
Way too
for
many.
the man.
I'm
Too
I'm with
many
you.
years.
And I think honestly, if there were a lot of women in a room, we'd all have the same conversation and say the same thing. And that's because not enough women were speaking about what we deserved when we were growing up. Like it was
Yeah.
taboo. It wasn't talked about.
And I think, I mean, we're in a very, obviously there's a lot going on in the world, but we are in a good space where women can have muscle. We can talk about sex. We can own our own businesses. We can do so much. There's obviously so much more for us to do. But having someone like you and myself that like really promotes positive, empowering, inspirational women is exactly what I'm sure you want your nieces to be around. So
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, and I appreciate that you brought it back to that. I think so my oldest niece is 10, and I think when she came around that was a really big shift for me as well. I was like I want to be someone that she would look up to. Like I want to make her proud. I want to
yeah.
represent, how I would want her to look up to, somebody that inspired her. Like I want to be that for her. And I think that's really important that we do that for women, because you brought it up a little while ago, but social media wasn't around when we were growing up, and it is brutal out there. And these young girls growing up need to have all of the confidence and be empowered in who they are now, because it's the wild, wild west out there.
Yeah, but they do have people like you to
Yeah.
help them, and we didn't have that. We didn't have that.
No,
I
that's
didn't have
true.
it either. Yeah, so, hopefully we'll outweigh some of the bad people out there.
That's a great point. Yes, that's true.
Where can people find you? Where can people get to know you and just hear more about Kaisa Fit?
I mean, I think the biggest place is on Instagram. and it's Kaisa Fit, Kaisa Fit. I also have like, if you want to move with me, it's all on justmove.com. Yeah, but Kaisa Fit also like literally DM me. It's so funny that people are like, well, I want to ask you, but I'm like, DM me. I'm like, we answer. It's not like some other alternate like person out there. I'm like, I'm on my social media all the time. Like DM, ask questions. Yeah, I'm here.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here. Is there anything else you want to leave? Just like a quote or something you want to leave to the audience?
No, and my quote would be, I am more than my body. And I think that's a really good reminder for us women. I would also say if you're just now kind of getting on your movement journey, your health journey, I like to remind people that anything is better than nothing. And I think that one of the biggest things that we can do is think about adding something positive into our day in small little doses, because those will create the large change. It's not about coming in and like, all right, 5 days a week, I'm in the gym, I'm doing all this stuff. Don't even think about that. Like, think about one thing that you can add every single day and just stay consistent with that.
I love it. Thank you so much for being here, Kaisa. I
Thank
appreciate you.
you. Thank you.